Alright, so this video tutorial is on working with two pieces of beading wire. So it's basic stringing, but using more than just one string. And where the idea came from was many years ago, back when I was still young and charming, I used to make ceramic beads and pendants. And this was one of the techniques that I used to show for how to use my beads that had larger holes than what most beads have. This one was done with leather, as you can see. So it's a technique that I thought, well, let me see if I can adapt it to Czech glass. Well, obviously with Czech glass, the holes are not going to be big enough for the leather to go through. So I have adapted it and used it with a beading wire. This is the Flex Right beading wire. It happens to be the 49 strand. It's from the Beadsmith, and it comes in a whole bunch of cool colors. So I found this, let me get it right side up, this carnelian pendant in my stock. And so obviously the orange beading wire was going to work with that. And then I had that mix of beads from JTV that was done in ambers and greens and oranges. So I chose that. I am supplementing it with some metal beads. I have this little metal swirl bead, and I have some metal daisy spacers. The daisy spacers actually have a hole that's large enough for the wire to go through twice, so that's an important thing. So instead of entirely designing this thing on the fly, I've actually started it a little bit. What I did, I cut two pieces of 20-inch, or two pieces of wire 20 inches long. I put one of them through the hole in the pendant, brought it up. I put one of the beads from the mix, a 6mm fire polish, one of my metal beads. This mix had a bunch of little tiny beads in it, so I put, looks like I put 3 on one and 2 on the other, and that's not what I want. I'm going to want 3 on that one, so let me take this off. No, let me just leave it alone for right now. Okay, and then these were, they look like they're maybe 4mm fire polish from the mix. So now I could easily just use that as a piece. It would hang sort of okay. But to make it more interesting, what I want to do is put a bead in between here. And the way I do that is I just took the second piece of wire, and on that piece I strung the only large amber bead that was in that mix. And then what I did was I actually put some seed beads on top of those 4mm fire polish on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is push this together with these daisy spacers. So the daisy spacers have both pieces of wire going through it. This has one piece of wire going through it. All of the rest of it has just one piece of wire. The first time I'm using 2 is when I put the daisy spacers on to pull this together. And I could actually call that done, but I'm probably not going to, because why would I do that? So what I think I'm going to do is just pick up, let me get my magnifiers here. I think I'm going to pick up 3 of these little guys on both pieces. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pick 3 up on the other piece that's going out to that left-hand side. 1. And bring them together and see how that looks. Okay. So now what I want to do, I've got these little drop beads. And these can work really cool if you put 1 on the bottom wire, then 1 on the top wire, and then a 3rd one back on the bottom wire again. And when you pull them together, see what happens? They tend to find themselves a space to be. And what I'm going to do is take one of these fire polish, because this has a hole that's big enough for both pieces of wire to go through. If I can find the hole. Push that through. Pull that. And that kind of gives me an interesting antique-y kind of look, which is really what I want to go with these kind of Baroque style beads, if you will. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm probably going to call it done. So I had 3 of these small beads on each side. I have 2. I need another one. 1, 2. So I have to go over here to my stash. Dig around. 3. So put the third one on. This is the bottom wire, so I'm going to put a drop on the bottom. I'm going to put a drop on the top. I'm going to put the third drop on the bottom. And then I'm going to bring them together with one of the 8mm fire polish. It's kind of best to put one piece of wire in at a time instead of trying to put them both in at the same time. Pull that down. And I think I'm going to call that the piece. And what I'll do now is just finish it at the top, at the ends, with a crimp and a clasp, just like you normally would finish it. I tend to use the Tornado Twister crimps. Gail already showed you how to use the other ones. So just go ahead and play around with them. It's like this beading wire being partially exposed is kind of cool because it's got colors. It's expensive. You might as well use it as part of your design. So give it a try, and I hope it works out for you.